Hello everyone, welcome to Sentence Diagramming 101. This video is about Chapter 2, Word Function. We are in Part B, which is verbs, and we are going to cover Section 3 and 4, which is mood and voice. So at the very beginning, you want to know that English has a mood, of course it does, that you may be familiar with some of these. If you've taken a foreign language, you may have heard of the indicative or the imperative or the subjunctive. But most of the time we're going to use what's called the indicative mode, which is named so because it indicates things, right? It's also called the declarative mode because because you are declaring things. So these are statements. It can be any tense. You know, I disliked vinegar. Do you dislike vinegar? I will dislike vinegar. I had disliked vinegar. So most of the time we're going to be using the indicative tense. Some other books might say that because this is a question, this is an interrogative. I didn't break it up that way here, but if you run into it, that's what they're saying. The indicative is a statement. The interrogative is a question. Moving on, we do have the imperative. This is where you're being very imperial about things. You're telling people to do stuff, take out the garbage, do your homework, think about verb tenses. So you're just demanding a thing. Usually those are in present tense, and they don't have a spoken subject because it's an implied subject of you, the person I'm speaking to, go do the thing, whatever the thing is, whatever the verb is. And then we have the subjunctive. Okay, so the subjunctive is going to give you information that is a wish, a doubt, or something that is contrary to fact. This is why you end up with stuff like, if I were a rich man, right? If I were, not if I was, but if I were, even though you're like, but isn't were for you? Like you were a thing? Yes, but the subjunctive is when you would use it. If you were my dream partner, you know. So the subjunctive mood is going to express anytime that you are contrary to, reality. The final mood for verbs is the infinitive, which we talked about in the other video, but if you're going to put a to in front of your verb, then you are making the infinitive, and that is the mood. Now, I am going to have you do a similar thing like we did in the last video, where you just pause and do exercise 2B3, and then you can watch the exercise overview that will give you the answers. But how about you pause here? And we're back. Okay, so now we're into voice. So voice, you may have heard of this already. This is active and passive. You probably have heard at some point somebody say, oh, active voice is much better than passive voice. Well, it depends on what your situation needs. Active voice means that the subject of the sentence is doing the action. Passive voice means that the action, the object in the sentence is receiving the action. So it's more passive. So let's look at how this works with some specifics. So Jack threw the ball. In this sentence, Jack is doing a thing, right? He is throwing and then he is throwing the ball. So there's action happening there. This is very different than the ball was thrown by Jack. In this case, the ball is the subject and it is being acted upon, right? So this is passive voice. It was thrown. And then our subject in the original, Jack over here, has just been relegated to a prepositional phrase at the end. In fact, we could get rid of him and it wouldn't matter. The sentence would still be, the ball was thrown. If you don't want to implicate Jack in the ball throwing, then passive voice is what you want to choose here. So it just depends on what you need. I will say a lot of active voice together or a lot of passive voice together gets boring. So you want to shake it up, do more active because it's engaging, but sometimes passive voice is just necessary. Now you do want to notice, right, that passive voice is useful when you want to avoid assigning blame, like the bill was not paid by you, right? It's very different than you did not pay your bill. So that is useful. Now, one other thing, and this is the zombie test, also known as the bunny test, but one way to figure out if a sentence is active or passive is to add the phrase by zombies, or if you don't like zombies, you could do by bunnies, and see if it still makes sense. So for instance, the car was driven by zombies. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's scary, but I don't want zombies driving cars. But it is definitely passive voice, right? The car is being acted upon. It was driven. We scored very well on the final exam by zombies. No. We are doing the scoring on a test. By zombies doesn't do anything here. The final exam was graded by zombies. Oh, okay, here we are, passive voice again, right? The final exam is being graded. It's being acted upon. I don't want zombies grading my stuff, but here we are. Now, here's where this isn't a foolproof method, right? John drove the car by zombies. Okay, so in this case, John is literally driving a vehicle past a group of zombies. So this does make sense, but the action here is still active voice because John is doing the driving. It's not the car was driven by John past zombies or something like that. So you want to think about the subject of the sentence and what it is doing, or if the verb is actually affecting, like, is it being acted upon, or is it performing the action, or is it receiving the action? And that is verb voice. So you can practice that here with exercise 2B4.